and they all speak different language, they're going to be of a different language and a different culture. It's going to be a very local thing. It's not going to be a universal, it's not going to be something that people know about here in the West. But we need to go back. It's going to be tough, because Cryon says that we've got to have not just married priests, which is what maybe some people are thinking. We got to have women priests. And it's like, you do a double take. It's like, oh my gosh, is that really what he said? But he wants to have female priests back. And I think he realizes, he knows, that if we get to that point where we have women priests, that we're probably through most of the denial of the truth, that we've passed it, and that we're able to be flexible enough that we can correct the other things that are wrong. Because that's really a big leap. I think it's a lot to ask the West to change. But it sounds like in order for us to save our church, that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have female priests. He didn't ask us to call Jesus by his true name. He didn't ask us to bring back reincarnation. He didn't ask us to own up for all the wrong we did or anything like that. All he's asking us to do is just have female priests. And he has good things to say about the current Pope, Francis. And he says the next one is the one he's asking to bring back female priests. It's the next Pope that he's asking to do this, not Francis. Francis has got his own things that he's already got a full plate. He's already got stuff to do. He won't be able to take that on. But the next Pope, and if they don't do it, the church is in very grave danger. The Catholic Church, and maybe, I don't know if Christianity's at risk or not, but the Catholic Church is in grave danger of ending. Something that they said would, this is supposed to be the truth. It's not supposed to ever go away. And in Hinduism, they do have the truth. They don't have 100% truth, and they don't claim to have 100% truth. And that's where they're right. When you start saying you got 100% truth, that's where you should be suspected. Any religion that's going around saying that you got to join our religion to be saved, we have 100% of nobody can have 100% of the truth. And anybody that claims so, they're about as far from the truth as you can get. And they're not protected by God. They lose their protection. I believe they lose their protection when they claim that. Because we're supposed to grow, and we're supposed to grow with our knowledge. We're supposed to be flexible, and we're supposed to be tolerant, even with people that are wrong. We're supposed to, and that's hard to do. We're supposed to be tolerant with the people that are wrong, or that they're different, because they might just be different. They still might be okay. You can have two things that are right that are different. Two thinkings that are different. I mean, 4 and 3 is 7, but you can get 7 by adding other numbers. You can have 6 plus 1. There's not just one way to do things. So you don't have to have the exact set way for everything. And that's what we're learning as a world right now. That there's not any one political system that's going to be the only one. I mean, for a long time it was Catholicism, and then somebody came along and says it's democracy, and then someone else came along and says it's communism, and they wanted to make the whole world democratic, and then they wanted to make the whole world communist. I mean, in the original, they wanted to have everybody under Rome, and then they wanted to have everyone under communism, and none of them worked. They last for a few centuries, maybe, or they might last a few generations. I mean, communism only lasted 100 years or so. I and then it's gone. But the truth, anybody that's honestly trying to do the truth and that they're flexible in it, Hinduism goes back 10,000 years. And some of the offshoots from it are good too. As long as they don't declare themselves as sole scriptura, that they have the only sole, what do they call that? Where they have the sole truth, where they're the only ones that can speak from the chair. As long as they're humble, like the Native Americans are, or the Aborigines, they do their own thing, they mind their own business, they don't try to convert everybody. They're truer than any Christian or Muslim that claims everyone's got to follow their way. And they could be even an incomplete religion, but they got more going for them than anyone that claims they got it all. Because they're still saying that they don't, and that they're still working on it. And a lot of these religions were attacked from outside. Their populations, they committed genocide against them. They tried to make them all speak English and give up their language, because if they can get them to give up their language, all their written stuff will be lost. Anything they wrote down about their spirituality will be lost, because they have a lot of truths, and it doesn't seem to be a whole lot you can find in the Native American religions. They didn't go in and try to change them, they just tried to kill them off. They killed off the languages. Some of the languages might be dying. And so even if we do find a written word anywhere, nobody can read it. But it's still true. And they may not have as much research and study that they've done, but what they have is good. And it worked for them. It may not work for someone on the other side of the world that has a different climate and everything, but it worked for them. And they weren't hurting. They weren't trying to force it on other people. And they knew a lot of things that were deep into the nature and everything. Into their nature, where they lived. You know, the natural surrounding, their religion was made for where they live. And it may not work for another climate, but it worked for where they were. Whereas Hinduism became a rather large worldwide religion, and it grew. They have a lot written down, and they preserved it. I think they were able to preserve it because there was just such a huge population that practiced it. And I'm sure there's stuff in there that's just bullshit. But there's also a lot of good stuff. And so you can choose. You have the ability to say, oh, I don't think I'm going to follow this, but I'm going to follow this over here. And you have the freedom to do that. And they don't have so many dogmas. And you may join a guru and he may have a set way to do things. But a lot of the bigger gurus, they know it's tried and true. And they say, okay, we'll do this. And the people go along with it. And if someone doesn't like it, there's other gurus that believe a little different. Whereas in Catholicism, there was only one way. It was like everybody had to be the same. And that's communism. The people not everybody's the same. And so if you have variation, it allows for a diversity of people. Whereas in Christianity, it's a kind of a one-size-fits-all. And if it don't fit you, then you just gotta make it fit. You just suffer through it. And an example is the gays. If you're gay in Christianity, you pretty much can't exist. In traditional Christianity, you're not even allowed to exist. You better not say anything about yourself being gay or having any of those tendencies. In the Native American religion, it's okay. They have an understanding that it's okay, and they have names for the different genders and stuff. They figured it out.